All right.
Welcome to the Holistic Kids Show. My name is Zane.
My name's Abdullah.
And my name's Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids, here to educate and empower us kids from the inside out. It's no secret that kids today are struggling. Kids' brains and bodies are getting sicker and sicker. Rates of mental health problems among kids, particularly depression and anxiety, have doubled during the pandemic.
About 1 in 4 children are experiencing depression, and 1 in 5 is actually experiencing anxiety. There are also reports of increased behavior problems, especially among children with ADHD, autism, and a rising substance use amongst teenagers. Imad, do you know why some kids struggle while others shine?
No, why?
Well, today we have an expert guest who will help us answer just that. Dr. Michele Borba is an educational psychologist, former teacher, and is even a mom recognized for offering research driven advice called from a career of working with every over 1 million parents and educators, a frequent Today Show contributor, and is also the author of 25 books. Oh, that's a lot, Zen.
A
Right?
lot.
Yes.
Including UnSelfie and her latest book, Thrivers, the surprising reason why some kids struggle and others shine. She also has appeared on Dr. Phil, The View, CNN, The Doctors, Dr. Oz, as well as USN, and even News and World Report, the Chicago Tribune, Time, and even New York Times. We are so honored to have her on our show today.
We would love to hear your story.
Well, I am so honored to be here. And I'm so honored that you kids are interviewing me because I think that's half the answer. We've got to be much more able to reach out and say, what do you think? And that's how the grown-ups can help the kids. So I may be the one interviewing you. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
We would love to hear your story. So, how you've worked with kids for such a long time, it seems like things are getting worse and worse. How are you worried, and what is going on?
Yeah, I'm very worried. I'm very worried because obviously so many kids are not doing well at all. In fact, I don't know if you're aware of it, but just 2 weeks ago, across the United States, 77,000 American pediatricians signed a form that said our kids are in crisis and we need to do something about it. So it's not just you saying it or me saying it. We're talking the CDC and all the pediatricians are saying the same thing. Now, what's causing it? It's not just one thing. We'd like to blame it on one thing, but we think the most important when I ask the kids is that some of those basic things like play and recess and too much internet and too much pressure and not enough skills on learning how to cope and calm down and be resilient are being taught. They're worried that they're not good enough or that all about and everything is about the test score and being a product as opposed to a human being. Those are the things I'm hearing a lot from your peers and from your friends, and it concerns me. But the good news is, guys, resilience, that's the ability to bounce back and be strong from the inside out. You can learn that. And the sooner you learn that by learning particular kinds of skills, that's going to make a difference on you and your life, not just now, but the rest of your lives, because you guys are going to be growing up in a very, very uncertain new world. You know, if not a pandemic, who knows what else is coming down the pike? You're going to be growing up and working with artificial intelligence, robots, assistant, so different than what you're having now. And that's why the test score and the GPA alone isn't going to do it. We're going to look at the skills that you can learn so you can thrive no matter what your age.
And you also wrote a book called what, Imad?
Thrivers. What is a thriver?
Oh, thanks for asking. A thriver to me is a kid who says, I got this from the inside out. So when they're faced with a challenge, I don't care if it's peer pressure or bullying or, gee, I just flunked my test. They're not a kid who gives up. Instead, it's a kid who says, I got this. I'll figure out another way through. That's what a resilient child is. They keep on going, kind of like the ever ready bunny or the little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. Despite the challenge, you figure out a way through. And that's what you've got to do in order to be the thriver who's going to make it in today's world. That's what the book is. It's called Thrivers, and it's about kids like you and kinds of things I've learned from you and the skills that are going to help you.
So basically, a thriver is someone that thrives and learns how to get back up and never gives up.
Right. That's exactly it. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't make any difference where you live or how many brothers or sisters you have or what your GPA is or what your IQ is. What we now learn is that these skills you can learn anywhere. I've worked in 19 countries, and I have found no matter where I work, what part of the world or what continent I'm on, these same skills work for any child. We just need to figure out how to make them into a habit. So you keep working on them over and over and over and over and over till you can do it without your mom or your dad or your teacher reminding you that that's the skill you've got to learn and practice.
So, what are the character strengths that set thrivers apart?
Well, what I did, just so you know, and I get a little credit for this, I spent a lot of time looking at all the research, the science, who's been studying kids who bounce back, like kids who are growing up in war zones or in homelessness or abuse at a home. But despite this extreme adversity, they still bounce back. So what I did is I got just all these studies, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of studies, and I started analyzing them with Post-its on my desk. And what I'd do is I'd find a trait that was in this study, that was also in this study, that they were common. What's common about all these studies that study kids who are resilient? And I found 7 traits. Now, it doesn't make any difference which one comes first, but the first one is confidence. You have this inner ability to know, I got it, because you know what your strengths are. You don't just keep relying and worrying about your weaknesses. You look at your strengths. So that's the first one, confidence. The second one is you really have a strong sense of social competence. That means you reach out and you feel with other people. I call that empathy, and I think that's a superpower because that makes you a we thinker, not a me thinker. You're able to work with different kinds of kids across different time zones, different networks. That's empathy. The third one is self-control. That's the ability to put the brakes on your impulses. So when you feel yourself getting really, really stressed, you can take that deep, slow breath before you get angry or before you get into the meltdown or before you get into trouble. The fourth one is integrity. You know what your parents stand for. You know what you stand for. You have what's called a moral compass. And when push comes to shove or your peers say they want you to do this and you know that it's not right, you can say no because you have integrity. You know what you stand for. So now we've got 4. The fifth one, I love this one, is curiosity. Thrivers are creative. Now, it doesn't mean they're little Albert Einsteins, but it means when push comes to shove, they go, it's okay. I'll figure a way around it or through it. You're little problem solvers. And that's so critical. You don't wait for your mom or your dad to give you the answer. You say, I got it. I'll figure out another way so you don't stop. Perseverance is number 6. That's I'm going to keep on going and I'm not going to give up because you focus on the effort, not the end product. You keep saying, I'm going to get better than yesterday. And that's what perseverance is. You're working for the gain. That's what Olympic athletes do. They just keep trying to get better and better and better, one step more. And the final one is optimism. You've got hope. You're not going to be dismayed with all the bad stuff in the world. You keep figuring out, well, here's what I can do instead. Here's what's going to give me hope. So you put all those together. That's resilience. But here's the other thing. Guys, you don't have to have all 7 of them. The more you have, they're kind of like superpowers and each one amplifies the other. It's a rare person that has all 7, but you keep working on it from now until you become the grown-up and then you keep on going and keep on going. And that's what's going to help you the rest of your life, those 7 traits.
That is amazing.
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 Oh gosh, guys, thank you. But that's what we need. We need to keep in mind that this stuff is doable and it's not too late and we can start working on it. Maybe what the first thing you do is you look at one trait and you go, okay, which of those is my already existing strength? Each of you has got a different one and you go, I got that one covered. And then you say, so which one should I dig into a little more and try to get a little bit better at? And right now I'd say the world needs self-control. Coping strategies. So when you start to feel stressed, you told me all those dismal stats about today's kids, but when you start to feel stressed, you can put the brakes on the impulses and the stress by maybe taking a slow, deep breath, or maybe putting your brain into a different mode. So you start thinking of a happy image of a place you've been. There's dozens of different ways to do it. You got to find what works for you. And then you have to keep practicing it over and over again until you go, I can do this now. I can do it any place and any time.
Yeah, and a lot of kids and their parents think that they have a lot of goals, but most of them are their GPA and their test scores. I mean, even though some of the most incredible people, they failed college.
Yep.
One college, but they're impacting the world so much. And they so many parents think that those scores are what and they're the things that impact your life the most, and make you truly happy. But is that really true?
No, but thanks for asking. Because what we do know is that a GPA matters in that it'll get you into a college of your choice. It doesn't have to be the highest level. It's got to be a place that you're passionate about and you feel like you're going to fit in. That's going to be good enough. But the second thing is you need a different kind of skill set to be able to also cope with life. Do you know that the number one time American kids are most likely to drop out of school? It's end of freshman year, first semester of college. So you finally get there. And one of the reasons I wrote Thrivers is that Harvard counselors were saying there's something wrong. They're very, very smart kids, but they get here and they get their first B plus and they give up and they're devastated. So that's why we've got to help you stretch and realize you're good enough. You're going to take little dosages of goals along the way. You're always going to try to get better and better and better at what you do. But one thing, let's go back to confidence that we do know. Here, I'm going to ask you guys, do you have hobbies?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad, because there's ordinary things that make extraordinary differences on Thrivers. And one of the things that we've discovered about a thriving kid is that when they get really, really stressed, they go to the hobby. It could be knitting, or it could be woodworking, or it could be guitar, or it could be books. But now you're going to feel like, hey, I can decompress a little bit. And what college professors discovered is that when you go off to wherever you go in college, if that's where you want to get to, when you get really stressed, you still go to that same hobby. It helps you. So find a hobby that you can bring with you any place and any time. You'll use it the rest of your life. See, simple little ordinary things, if you work on it, can make a big difference.
We talk a lot about how kids can be resilient on this show, helping kids bounce back. How can all kids become resilient and become a better person?
I think the first thing is we've got to realize that we can teach it. Moms and dads and teachers have to help you by saying it isn't just the GPA that matters. It's a different set of skill sets. The second thing is once we know that, hey, you guys have been through a really tough time. This is called a pandemic. No other generation has faced it, but we don't know what else is down the pike for you in the future, which means we need to future-proof you. We need to help you handle change. Because the one thing we do know is that you're going to be living in a very, very rapidly changing, ambiguous world. You don't know what happened next. So I worked in a lot of places, but let me just give you a little hint on resilience. One of the most interesting places I've worked on is Army bases. And I worked with Navy SEALs. They're the most elite forces in the world. And the commanders told me, you should go interview the Navy SEALs because we're retraining them. Now, here's guys that have to go through the toughest times, wars and battles and adversity. So I asked the Navy SEALs, what are you doing differently? And they said a few things, and you should teach them to kids. So this is chapter 3 in Thrivers. The first thing they said we do is we figure out what our stress signs are. because each of you three has different signs. One of you may get a little more irritable when you start to feel stressed. Maybe your brother starts to grind their teeth. Some kids, they start to go like this with their hands. See, you're looking at each other going, that's what you do. Some kids, they start to get flushed and they do rapid breathing. So the thing is, over the next week or 2 or 3 or 4, however long it takes, each of you take a moment to figure out what your stress sign is before you get angry, before you get the meltdown, because that's the first step to self-control, is figuring out what helps you decompress. The minute you realize your stress signs, and Navy SEALs, they start pointing it out to each other. Like, you're starting to get stressed because this is what you're doing. Or I notice you're starting to deep breathe. That's what you're doing. The next thing they do is they come up with some kind of a positive affirmation to say inside their head. It doesn't make any difference what it is, like slow down or calm down or relax or chill out. Not all of those, but just one thing. And they also help each other. So they point it out to each other, like chill out or relax or calm down. And then the most important thing they now do is to get rid of the stress. They do deep breathing and they call it a 1-2 breath. It's so easy, and it's actually rewiring their brain. They now take a deep breath from really low in your tummy. So sit up and put your hand real low on your abdomen. Take a slow breath as I'm going to, with my hand going up, but you're going to take the breath from deep in your tummy up till it's all the way up. Ready? And then you hold it. Oh, I'm so relaxed from that breath. Now you slowly let it out. But the exhale is twice as long as the inhale. Why does that work? Because we know that a 1-2 breath is the fastest way to relax. If you wanted to learn that yourself, you could do it another way. Some kids say, okay, I'm going to take the deep, slow breath like I'm smelling a flower. Then I'm going to hold it. Now I'm going to slowly let it out like I'm blowing out a birthday candle. I don't care how it works for you or what works, but you practice and practice and practice and practice until when that stress comes, you go, I know I'm getting stressed. I need to tell myself, relax. Now take the slow, deep breath and take a few of them. And that's the fastest, no-cost way to relax. You can do it right before you go to take a test. Or maybe you're out on the playground and you're seeing some bullying. Or maybe you're doing something and some kids are saying something to you that's going to make you really upset, and you got to keep yourself calm and composed. You don't have to show them you're taking the deep breath, but you can do something by just turning around and just trying it and practicing it, and it'll help you.
What amazing advice. With problems with self-esteem on a rise, how can kids start to increase their confidence? I mean, you talked about the stress management, but what about confidence boosting and bravery?
Confidence starts with you understanding what you're good at, what your strengths are. Do you know that too often we focus on what we're not so good at? And it's all about trying to fix things as opposed to trying to figure out what your strengths are. So maybe over the next couple of weeks, you help each other or you help yourself by figuring out what your strengths are. Maybe you're a writer, or maybe you're the musician, or maybe you're better as the artist, or maybe you're great on the soccer field, or maybe you're good at all three of them. The next thing is, once you know what you're good at, you try to find opportunities to build those natural strengths, because when you do, you're actually now engaged in confidence kind of building activities. Go further away from it, your confidence goes down. But you'll now be able to do something, because they've actually discovered that if you find your confidence, you find your strengths, and you become more of a talent scout, looking for your talents with each other. Usually what that also does is help you discover your purpose. So by the time you get to college or high school, you're going to find things. Maybe you're worried about climate change. Maybe you're worried about bullying. Maybe you're worried about racism. I don't care what you're worried about. It's got to be something that comes deep inside you, and you'll go, that's what I'm going to try to do to make the world better. It also reduces your stress. It's finding purpose in your life.
That is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Amazing.
Thank you, guys.
What advice would you give parents who have kids that give up easily and have low confidence?
Okay. Confidence and perseverance work hand in hand. So here we go. Notice that these traits, these 7 of them, have what's called a multiplier effect. Any one of them is going to help you be resilient, but you put 2 of them together and they become like superpowers. So if you put perseverance and confidence together, they're going to help stretch your ability to hang in there. The other thing that helps you hang in there longer so you won't give up so easily is if you have self-control, because you need to be able to focus. So let's look at perseverance by itself, because that's number 6 and it's critical. A really important woman, her name was Carol Dweck. She works at Stanford, and she's been trying to figure out why some kids hang in there longer and other kids give up. And what she found is the kind of feedback you get from parents or your teachers or your brothers or sisters or your coach really can help you. If you get feedback that always talks about what you get or what's your grade or how many did you miss, it shrinks your perseverance. So you figure out, hey, it's all a matter of how smart I am that helps me be successful, not how hard I work. But if the parent or the teacher or the coach instead stretches your effort, like you're hanging in there, you're getting better. Yesterday you were at 3, today you're at 4. They're actually stretching you so you're getting better and better and better. And that's what perseverance is, one step more. Start thinking about success as a gain. It's not overnight that you win a gold medal. You keep working and working and working at it. But what you do, and what I learned from Olympic athletes, is they always use goals. They say, yesterday I ran at this percentage, or how fast I ran, and they track it. So today I'm going to do one step more. That's what you go. Yesterday I got this many right on my spelling test. Tomorrow I'm going to go one step more. And the other thing I want you to do is realize that a lot of times we give up because we get so overwhelmed in the mistake. Oh my gosh, I can't figure out how to do it. Well, that's when you ask your parent or your teacher to sit down and say, here's my stumbler. Here's the thing I keep messing up on. How can I get out of not doing the same stumbler? And just work on one little thing at a time. I'll tell you something. When I was your age, I took piano lessons. Now, my first piano teacher, his name was Mr. White. Oh, I didn't like piano much because of what Mr. White made me do. And that is, he'd say, I want you to play. But the first time you make a mistake, you got to stop and you got to start all over again. And every time I'd play a piece, as soon as I'd make a mistake, I'd have to start all over again. Well, guess what happened? I got more and more stressed, and all I would do was think about the mistake. I was no longer enjoying the piano. I was no longer enjoying the playing. I was just worried about the mistake. Now, my mom got me another piano teacher. Mrs. Thompson was my next piano teacher. She was so glorious because she had a whole different mantra, kind of like what we're talking about. Instead, she'd say, well, Michele, what's your stumbler? What's the one little thing that's making you make the mistake each time? Well, let's just practice that one little stumbler, or that one little math fact, or that one little way that you're kicking the ball wrong on the soccer field. Let's keep practicing it the right way, the right way, the right way. What happens is pretty soon after a while, you get more confident and you'll persevere and work harder because you know you can do it. So here's the goal. Number 1, tell yourself that success is a gain. Every time you work on that, whatever you're working on, the piano piece, the guitar piece, the soccer piece, the math facts, make it one step more. When you get caught up in making a mistake, have your teacher or your parent help you figure out how to get over your stumbler. What are you going to do differently next time? You'll break it down, and now you got a roadmap and you're more likely to succeed. That's what it's all about.
That is so important for everyone that is listening, that you should always tell yourself to keep going. You have to make sure that what you're doing is what you love.
Yeah. Find it. Now, there's going to be certain things that you have to do that you don't love. You may not love math. I love words. That's why I became a writer. Math was not my particular forte, but I had to hang in there. And when the stumblers came, that's the teacher I went to try to get the help from. Writing was easy. That was my confidence builder, and that was my strength. There's certain things you got to do regardless, but you got to have a roadmap to help you get through, and therefore you won't be so likely to quit and give up. And that's what it's all about. You can do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
What are common mistakes parents make that limits kids to thrive?
Okay, here's number one. All of us do it, and you kids do the same thing. You ask for help when you don't need it. Thrivers are kids, remember I said, who say, I got it. I'm going to get through it. And if we always go to the parent to solve the problem for us, and they come in and they helicopter you or they rescue you, what they actually do is rob your resilience. Because what you've got to learn is that you do have it. You do have the strength inside. And if somebody keeps solving the problems for you, now, there could be issues that you do need solving for that I've tried my best and I can't do it any better. Okay, fine. Let's work it through. But if you're always getting rescued, that's a huge mistake. Bubble wrapping the kid, that's a big, big mistake. Doing the things for the child, that's a big, big mistake. Here's another one. All of the skills I'm talking about, like that 1-2 breathing, a big mistake that we do sometimes is we tell kids, okay, just go take a 1-2 breath. Just go take that 1-2 breath. But we don't show them how to do it. And we don't practice together how to do it because these are skills. And the only way you're going to succeed with a skill, it's kind of like exercising your muscles. You got to work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it. And that's how you build up a new habit, is by constantly working on it until it becomes, I got it. And it's now you can move on to the next one. So we've got to show kids how to do it, not tell them. And we've got to have lots and lots of practice. Do you know that it usually takes around 21 days to learn a new habit? So what you could also do, I saw some kids in New Zealand do this. When they were learning the 1-2 breathing, they had a calendar taped on their desk. And every day they'd practice it. They'd put a tally through the date. And then they'd keep counting and keep counting. Hey, it's around 21 days. And lo and behold, most of the kids had it. They learned it does take around 21 days or longer. Doesn't make any difference how long or short it takes. Some things are easy and some things are harder, right?
Right.
Right. That was so empowering. Where can we learn more about you and your work?
Oh, thank you. Well, my website, this is going to be real easy, is micheleborba.com. I spell my name, Michele, with a 1L. And Borba rhymes with Zorba. So it's micheleborba.com. There's YouTube tapes. There's blog posts. There's also some free downloads for parents that you can say, go to that download, mom, and go download the core asset survey, mom or dad, because then what you can do is take it and figure out what my strengths are. And if you're older, you can do it all by yourself. Your mom or dad can do the strength asset survey over here. Then you can put the two of them together and you go, you forgot that one, or hey, mom, you overlooked this one, or hey, we got it together. The more we get on board together and your parents understand what you love, what you're good at, what are your strengths, that's another way that we all thrive together.
It was so empowering. Everyone make sure to follow Dr. Michele on social media. And her books are a must get. She will change your life. She will change your life forever, just like she has changed ours.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borba.
You are so welcome. You are the best interviewers. I hope you keep on doing. See, this is another one of your strengths. You already discovered you're great at interviewing. So you just keep adding that and finding more and more opportunities, because confidence in terms of speaking is going to be so huge, guys. It's going to be one of the most important skills. It may be an AI robotic world later on, but communication is going to be one of the most important skills that every kid now needs to practice for later. Don't let those robots get you down. You be the one to speak up and change this world and make it a better place. And with listening to you, I think there's a lot of hope. Thank you, guys.
Let's recap Dr. Borba's key points.
Dr. Borba found that the difference between those who struggle and those who succeed comes down not to the grades or to the test scores, but to the 7 teachable character strengths that set thrivers apart and boost their chance for happiness and greater accomplishment later in life. That separates, and that despite the challenge, you can find your way through, and we can start to learn these skills. There are 100 ways to do it, and over 1 million even. Find what works for you. Each of these 7 strengths is like a superpower that helps safeguard kids against the depression and anxiety
Yeah.
that threatens to detail them to derail them. The 7 strengths are Zen,
Self-confidence. Make sure you look at your strengths.
empathy, understand and sharing others' feelings and acting compassionately.
Self-control. Putting brakes on impulses. We focus on managing stress with meditation and mindfulness. Taking slow, deep breaths and thinking happy thoughts over the next week. Figure out what your stress sign. Then come up with a positive phrase that you can say in your head to help to calm down. We love deep breathing as it helps to rewire your brain.
And remember, integrity is important. You know what you stand for, and when put in a pressure point, you can say no. And Imad,
Curiosity, when push comes to shove you, our problems solvers.
Perseverance is all about keeping on going, focusing on effort, not end product. Focusing on effort, not end product. Remember, success is a game.
said someone smart. Optimism. We kids need to have hope. We love to sing the grateful song in the morning to help us focus on positive things in our lives, and it helps us build optimism. When those superpowers are combined, they become even more powerful, creating a multiplier effect that prepares us kids to succeed in our fast-paced, ever-changing world that is advancing every single day. The best news of all, these strengths aren't inborn. They can be taught and we can learn them easily. But do it with us. So parents help us. And we can be fast learners.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borba.
You're so welcome. I loved speaking with you. Thank you for one of the best interviews ever.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
We know you are busy, but we are so honored to have you on our show. It was so empowering. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zain Ansari.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom MD, and look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease. And we are so excited to announce our mom's new books that launch today.
Or a different day. They already launched.
The Holistic RX for kids, parenting healthy brains and bodies worlds, and the amazing children's book we wrote together called Adam's Healing Adventures. So check it out, The Power of Rainbow Foods. So check it out on Amazon. Yay! Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And remember to join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kids Show, where kids empower kids. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.